be 2 bells at the 4th minute. Now, instead of giving a question or a statement for the grand finals, the public speaking court decided to just give a picture and allow speakers to interpret it according to how they see fit. Alright, before we move on, let's introduce the speakers for the grand finals. Firstly, we have Daphne Wong. Second will be Matti Tan. Third will be Hans. Fourth, Alyssa. Fifth, Fahrisa. Sixth, Lee. 7, Luigi. 8, Sandun. And 9, Audrey Lee. My name is Terrence, I'm the chair for today. Judging to be Nicole, Jaya, Roshan, and Adele. With that, I'd like to invite the first speaker of the grand finals, Ms. Daphne Wong. Hey.
So obviously I'm not going to tell you who these people are because I don't know them myself, right? But first, let's take a look at the 3 traffic lights that are on the screen right now, right? So on the left, we see this weird thing there, and it's obviously a green light that says go away. But then again, you can also see a tinge of red lipstick there that was horribly applied, and I'm quite sure that I can do better myself. But first, right, let's take a look at this. When you see the many wrinkles on that person's face, whoever that is, it's obvious that we should see that that person needs to retire and he needs to go away, just like the green light says. But then again, he also has to stop whatever he's doing because of his red lipstick that was horribly applied. Now let's take a look at the second person on the right here, right? So obviously I don't know who it is, but it's definitely a retired Batman. Well, he should retire and he's extremely old as well anyway. Let's take a look at his specs. So obviously he can't really see things well and he can't really see what's actually happening and what the people like about him to begin with. So obviously all the things that he wants to tell you and all the things that he does are definitely not ones that people would like in the first place. But then we have to understand, blue is always misrepped by green within the traffic lights in the first place. Everyone mistakes a green light for a blue one and a blue one for a green light. But in light of this issue, the blue light is a better light in comparison to a green light in terms of number 1, color, because blue is a lot nicer actually. Chelsea is better. But secondly, it's also that the wrinkles on his face are a lot less than the one on the green. He shouldn't retire. But let's take a look at the one on the top, right? So you can see a mutated beast there. So she's obviously misrepresented a lot, and she's obviously hated by a lot of people because of how she looks in the first place. We can also recognize that the one thing that all 3 of these individuals that I completely know nothing about all have wrinkles. So they all should retire and they all should stop doing whatever they're doing in the first place. Leave it to other people to finish whatever you want to, right? So I think that all 3 of them are trying to be superheroes and they're trying to imitate the individuals in the TV shows and the animations that we all have to go through in the first place. But the one thing that we must all understand and that we must all question is this. Who is the best superhero in this speech in the first place? And I'll tell you an answer. Me. So obviously I'm the best one among all of them because I'm in a nicer shade of blue in comparison to that guy there trying to be Batman in the first place over there. And obviously I'm better than Joker because I'm not a joke. So obviously the jokes that I make are definitely better, but I'm sure Hans can testify that he is a better joke than me. So the life of an individual is obviously defined by how a person is, right? But the first thing I'll say is that obviously you wouldn't want a mutated individual like the one on top to run as president with within your country. And you obviously wouldn't want a person like Joker who has horrible lipstick and probably has horrible policies, just like his lipstick in the first place. So I think the one best reminder that we must understand is that none of these individuals on the screen projected in the first place is any good anyway, but we would say that if you're going to vote for anyone here, vote for me.
Right, thank you, Daphne. For the second speech, I'd like to invite Matti Tan.
I want to tell a story about this picture right here. So it was Halloween and Barack Obama called for a party in the White House. He said, "Everyone, I want all of you to dress up in a Batman costume from any character in the movies." So the three biggest politicians right here wanted to make a message, send a message to say, "I'm the best, I know what you want, this is what I'm gonna dress up, this is me, that's why you should vote for me." So Hillary Clinton, she planned to dress up as the girlfriend of Batman because she wants to be the star, she wants to be pretty, she wants to be the most beautiful woman in there. So she prepared the night before. She put on a lot of makeup, a lot of preparations, lipstick. But she forgot one thing. She fell asleep while doing that and her makeup was ruined on one side of the face, right over here. So she fell asleep, she like, and then all of it was ruined. And when she woke up, she went to the party. Her face was over here, perfect, but here it looked like it was a mutated, burned face. But the thing is, nobody mentioned that there was something wrong with her makeup. They were just going, "Hillary, you look beautiful. God, that's really nice of you, girl." And she was like smiling, looking all proud and everything. She never knew that one side of her face looked like it got ran over by a car, burnt by a flamethrower, eaten by rats, something like that. She was not the girlfriend of Batman, but she was Two-Face. And then when she said a speech in the White House, because during the party, people were making fun of her, calling her Two-Face, calling her not transparent. But the funniest joke that occurred in that speech was like, one side of the face was what she shows public when she's happy. The other side of the face was when she met Monica Lewinsky, the girl that her husband cheated with. So people were like, whoa! Clearly Hillary Clinton didn't get the appeal of the people. Let's go to Bernie Sanders, the old guy. He wanted to get the vote of the millennials, the people, the children. So he dressed up as Batman. Na 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 Batman. He thought he would be so cool. But what happened? He didn't dress up as the new Batman in Dark Knight Rises. He dressed up as the 1950s one. The one in the underwear. That's why the only picture you have here is of the top view, because nobody wants to see what was down there. Because it was so baggy, it was so soggy, it was so dirty. Clearly, he forgot that Batman has evolved over the time, and people just called him old. People just did all these kinds of things, said all these bad jokes. And the only picture you have of him now is him in the top view with his glasses. Now let's go to the Joker, Donald Trump. His advisors told him, "You really need to make a statement. People are saying what you're saying is stupid and you shouldn't do it." And they said, "I think you shouldn't go as the Joker. You should go as Bane, because that will cover your mouth and you won't be able to say anything. And possibly not even be able to breathe." But Trump, he was so ignorant. He was so stubborn. He's like, "No, I want to go as the Joker." So what his advisors did is that they did his makeup for him. They made him look so ugly and so horrible, so whatever he would say, people will just laugh at him and not actually listen to his words. But that didn't work. At the end, people took him as a joke, as like everything would go. So how did this party go? All the three people went, and Barack Obama looked, and he was like, "It was extremely, extremely bad idea in the first place to have this plan. Hillary, you should probably go home and wash your face. Sanders, you're kind of too old to be wearing a Batman costume meant for kids. That was clearly from the costume department. And Trump, maybe you should learn to respect women because they know how to put on makeup." Thank you.
Thank you, Matti Tan. Next up, I'd like to invite Hans.
everyone on the screen is fighting for the American presidency. But I'm sure all of us can agree that they would be better off in a fictional universe where no one could see them. So the question that begs to be asked is, who should be the mayor of Gotham City, considering all these three people are as such? So first, let's look at the Bat Sanders. Well, they do have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. Bernie Sanders, who wants to do good and who wants to be the perfect guy, the same way Batman does. And the same way how Batman's methods are questionable in terms of vigilantism, Bernie's is too. Whether he should break up big banks, whether he should do these kinds of things. But what's really, really funny, well, what I find funny, is that Sanders will be making Batman poorer. What does this mean? This literally means that Batman wouldn't be Batman, guys, because Bruce Wayne wouldn't be gone. Considering Sanders wants to take money away from the top 1%, if you actually thought about it, Batman wouldn't exist. So it's funny how Sanders would be literally making himself poorer if he was technically Batman, because he'll be taking money away from himself. So, it's quite funny. Sanders would probably be like, I am in the top 1%. I believe that we should not stand for this nonsense, and I should give all my money to the poor people because they are the ones who deserve it the most. And it's really quite funny because, taking money away from yourself doesn't seem like something someone should do. But Sanders does everything everyone shouldn't be doing because, breaking up big banks, maybe corporations might move away, just saying. Let's look at Trump. Well, huge similarities. Both of them belong in a mental asylum for one. Well, Donald Trump, this guy is amazing, I swear. Probably there'll be no population in Gotham City because he'll probably ban everyone and build a wall. Well, let's look at this. I will ban Bane, I will ban every single person in the world. Why not build a wall around everyone? I will be stuck alone here doing absolutely nothing. Kind of like how a Trump presidency would look like. It's actually really, really cool. And what's the funniest part? No, he would probably not date Harley Quinn because, of his thing against women and everything. So, as usual, Trump will not have a date for anything. Not a surprise. Let's move on to Hillary Clinton, the moderate one in this election. Who thought we would be saying that? Well, much like Two-Face, she shifts her stances a lot, half burnt, half okay. It's quite funny how in 2004 she was against gay marriage, but now, because the Democratic Party supports it, let's support it as well. The same way Two-Face became weird and messed up. Hillary is too. Just saying. Clinton, much like Two-Face, is two-faced because Clinton would do everything she could to win the election, the same way Two-Face would do anything he could to, do whatever his aims are. So, the conclusion is quite simple, actually. Batman would not exist because he would take money away from himself. Trump, he belongs in a mental asylum. I mean, come on, guys, it's Trump. Like, seriously, perfect. I love this picture, by the way, guys. I'm sharing it on Facebook today. Because I really think that he does belong in a mental asylum. And Clinton, it's quite sad, really. So I think I completely agree with Daphne when she said that she would probably make a better candidate. And yeah, they all belong in a fictional universe. Not much left to say. Well, if only we could turn back time. Bye.
Thank you, Hans. Next up, I'd like to invite Alyssa.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely happy to be speaking before you today. Why? Because I know that we share the same wavelength, right? When I was little, my mother, who is with me today, used to tell me all these stories about the city, called Gotham. A place filled with villains and heroes too. Chaotic, high crime rates and the like. Name it and it's there. I am an American citizen. In 5 months, a new powerful individual is about to be elected. Who would it be? Is it Bernie Sanders, who epitomizes Batman? Or is it Hillary Clinton, whose persona is pretty similar to Two-Face? Or is it Donald Trump, who resembles the Joker? Let's talk about these 3 candidates, shall we? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders personifies Batman. Why? Typically, he likes to work all alone and he is goal-driven. He knows what he wants for himself and for others. I think he is the kind of leader that everyone deserves, but that does not what everyone needs. Next up, Hillary Clinton. This woman embodies Two-Face. Why? Hillary had great intentions at first, but as time passed by, she switched sides and turned into something different than what people expected. Just like flipping a coin, just like what Two-Face does. When it lands on heads, she would affirm on the issue, and when it lands on tails, she would be against the issue. She picks the side in which she thinks is beneficial for her candidacy. Clinton is a two-faced political actor who is fighting a war on 2 fronts. I feel like she is the kind of leader who caters to everyone. Finally, Donald Trump, that huge guy who looks like an orange, which makes him look even crazier than he already is. This guy exemplifies the Joker. His grand plans seem so ridiculous and absurd, yet make sense at the same time. For example, building a wall to block Mexicans. Yes, this is possible, but the reason behind this is unacceptable. Joker's supposed to be the villain, right? But why is he so popular? His unpredictability. That's the reason. I guess he is the kind of leader who thinks differently from conventional politicians. And there's not so wrong about that. If you were given the opportunity to choose the one person to fix Gotham, who would it be? Is it the one who avoids the bandwagon, which is Sanders right over there? Or is it the one who rides the bandwagon, who is up there, Clinton? Or is it the one who is the bandwagon, whose name is plastered on the bandwagon? Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. For the next speech, I'd like to invite Fahrisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow audiences and judges, today before moving on, let's not look at these people as presidential candidates and stereotype them on the basis of what their characteristics are portrayed as. Let's see them as people. So today I'm not going to talk about the comedy behind this photo or what this photo stereotypically portrays. Let's talk about hypocrisy. What is hypocrisy? Hypocrisy is when you hoard different opinions but perpetuate the opposite. When your actions don't beget or reflect on what your thinking is, and when you perpetuate things that you don't necessarily believe in. Hypocrisy is when you seem like the best option and your policies seem like the best way to go until you show your real face. Hypocrisy is when your policies and opinions are so idealistic and utopian that everyone is persuaded by it until they realize that those very policies may as well be detrimental for your own self and your own community. Hypocrisy is when you believe in rights and laws for a specific group of people, but you deny the same rights and laws for all the people outside that box of the different strata of society. So today, before I move on to how people take hypocrisy to be extremely evil, people take hypocrisy to be something that is inherently bad, let's talk about the philosophy and principle behind hypocrisy. Why do hypocrites act the way they are? So for example, Jefferson opposed slavery actively, but he himself had slaves. Jerry Brown is against the death penalty, but as the governor of California, he will be responsible for the execution of thousands of people. So today I ask you this one question, my fellow audience. Is hypocrisy really that bad when you don't actively voice out against something that is bad but do not essentially follow that yourself, rather than not opposing it at all? Will we really consider Jefferson to be evil just because he had slaves, although he opposed slavery, rather than not talking against slavery at all? What do you think? Is hypocrisy really valuable when you're courageous and brave enough to perpetuate things that you yourself know cannot follow, but you know that is inherently good for people? But let's talk about another side of hypocrisy. People who we usually take to be good, people who we usually take to be the ideal citizens of the community and the society. So for example, if a guy goes on to volunteer at a soup kitchen to serve and feed poor people, but his actual intention is not doing good for the poor people, but is actually scoring all the vulnerable women he will meet there. No one will ever know what his true intentions are. But even without knowing his intentions, you take him to be a good person, because that is essentially what he portrays through his actions. So today, I ask all of you this one question, that should we really label people on what their actions are? Should we really label people on what they do? Should we not at least try to look behind at their past? They might have traumatizing stories that will force them to retaliate in such a way. Or they might have ulterior motives behind whatever good they do for the society. So are they the real hypocrites, or are we? Think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahrisa. For the next speech, I'd like to invite Jason Lee.
Mic test. Can everyone hear me? Ladies and gentlemen, today I'll do something different. I'll not talk about these three people on the screen because these characterizations are obviously wrong. There's more than two faces to Hillary, Batman would have enough money to self-fund his presidential campaign, and no amount of makeup can make Trump look good, like none. So, today I'm going to talk about another American politician. Since we're on the theme about American politicians and their hidden identities, I'm going to talk about everyone's favorite Republican. Yes, Ted Cruz. So, what about Ted Cruz, right? And why do we want to talk about him? Because this is my theory about Ted Cruz. It hit me one day. If time travel was possible in the future, wouldn't there be a time traveler coming back now to try to stop Trump from becoming the president? Then it hit me. Maybe there is one, and he's trying to blend in into society. Yes, he's Ted Cruz. Why? Right, listen to me. There's a few similarities between Cruz's and Trump's campaigns, right? They are both running on an anti-establishment campaign. They are both Republicans. And Cruz has the tendency to make some weird statements, like calling a basketball hoop a ring, or joking about running Trump over with a car, but it doesn't have the desired effect that he wants. Maybe it's the hair, he doesn't have that orange, fashy hair, or maybe the size of his hands were too big or something. Yeah, he doesn't have the same appeal as Trump. So he lost. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, time travel also explains the other huge mystery about Ted Cruz. Why do people call Ted Cruz the Zodiac Killer? Now, think about it. The main argument against Ted Cruz being the Zodiac Killer was that he wasn't born. Time travel eliminates that possibility. Now, okay, this is my version of what happened, right? Right. So, now, when we are actually talking about Ted Cruz being a Zodiac Killer, and the first thing you see on Facebook are articles like 5 reasons why Ted Cruz is a Zodiac Killer. Imagine how disturbing that is to Ted Cruz himself, like in the present era. Like these are the things that keep him up at night. Like, why do people call me the Zodiac Killer? Like, it's obvious that I haven't been born back then, right? So these things are like things that he thought about a lot, things that keep him up at night. So, when he failed this mission of stopping Trump from getting the presidency and he requesting to be transported back in the future, the fellas in the future screwed up. Instead of sending him back into the future, they sent him to California 1960. Yes, the era of the Zodiac Killer. And in that process, because of the screw-up of time travel, he lost most of his memories. What remained was the one image that kept him up at night, the one thing that he thought about the most. Why is Ted Cruz the Zodiac Killer? So imagine waking up in the past, having nothing, your pocket having an ID saying that you're Ted Cruz, and the only thing in your mind is Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. Obviously, you're going to fulfill that prophecy, right? It's like tailor-made for you. And this explains a few mysteries about the Zodiac Killer. Number one, we never knew the motive of the Zodiac Killer. The answer is, there's none. We gave him that idea. Number two, we never caught the Zodiac Killer. Correct, because he was transported back into the future after killing everyone there, because the people in the future finally found out about where they sent Cruz after like 10 years of searching, and then transported him back in the future. That's why we never caught him. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, if you want more reasons to not vote for Trump, think about the victims of the Zodiac Killer. Think about how, when you not make Trump the president, this entire thing of sending Cruz back into the past, trying to stop Trump from becoming president, will never happen. You can actually save lives even before Trump becomes the president. So my message is simple, guys. Don't vote for Trump. Now, before you bombard me with paradoxes about time travel, I would like to take my seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesus. Next up, I will invite Luigi.
Test. Harvey Clinton once said that you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Justice has only two sides, innocent or guilty, or one side clean, the other side scarred. Ladies and gentlemen, this 2016 US presidential race was never just a simple choice of good or evil, of the hero and the villain. It was part of the pursuit to see a clear reflection of our identity, to see ourselves in the people that we vote. And in my opinion, in this election, this is a depressing reality. Two sides to the same coin. For example, Bernie the Bat's revolution is no ordinary feat. But in the end, he's only the hero that they only deserve, but not what it needs. We deserve equality, but not at the cost of the American dream. We deserve a revolution, but not at the cost of failing to recognize social issues which are distinct from that revolution. Unfortunately, he's the president we deserve, but not the nominee that we need. Again, two sides to the same coin. Even Donald the Joke was simply nothing but a joke when he first entered into this entire race. And I don't even want to mention all of the racist, derogatory, and sexist comments that he has in his campaign because I've had enough of that of Duterte in the Philippines, right? But what's even more telling of his campaign is that, like the Joker, he seems to reflect a side of the American people which is unfortunately true. A horrific and selfish side of all of us, of the human condition. He was right, and the Joker was right. We stopped checking for monsters under our bed when we realized that they were inside us, that we were mad, that we are crazy, that we are racist, that we all have someone inside us that is like that. Him and his fantastically amazing voters have proved the world wrong, because now even the worst of jokes can get a few laughs. And unfortunately, Trump in this election is going to get that laugh at the end. Once more, two sides to the same coin. So now, we are left with Harvey Clinton. But again, in reality, we understand that we are only left to ourselves. Two sides to the same coin. On one hand, at the cost and price of experience and tenure, we choose at the cost of mistrust and lies, and all of that coming from one candidate. In favor of the first woman president, we compromise allegiance to rich corporations and companies. And the list goes on and on and on. At this point, we may think that the biggest loser in this election is actually us and the American people. And we understand that given these choices, we're all gonna lose. But let us assure you, Barack Hussein Alfredo Obama once said that we fall so that we can learn to rise and pick up ourselves up. So rise. Rise into the dying of the night so we may fight. Rise so that we may overcome absolute evil and fight for good. Rise for the audacity of hope that our nation and our vote was not defined by our leaders but defined by ourselves. We have two sides of the same coin, but our lives and our nation was never left to that fate of a coin toss. It was left to us holding that coin and choosing which side we want to be able to choose. Two sides of the same coin, two sides of one life and one vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Luigi. Next up, I'd like to invite Sandun Batagoda.
Ladies and gentlemen, November is going to be the big month. In November, Americans are going to decide. They're going to decide who's going to be president. If it's Hillary, then you're going to have the first female prime minister. If it's Bernie, you're going to see the first socialist lady president. And if it's Trump, you're going to see the last president of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I think if you really look at this picture, this resembles how much messed up election is at America. You have Hillary, the lovely face over there, who is the two-faced character, who says one thing and contradicts it on the other. You have Bernie, the back, who tries to save the day and then does maybe even hate it. You have Trump, the psychotic narcissist joker, who is basically literal and metaphorical the joker. Ladies and gentlemen, now if you look at Hillary, I think she is the biggest resemblance to the Two-Face himself. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, like Two-Face, who went through traumatic experience and went into glass, Hillary too is kind of a good girl gone bad. Hillary too is a good girl gone bad. Because of what happened between Bill and Monica Lewinsky in the White House. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at Bernie, the back, Bernie is the person who swoops down and tries to save the day and ends up making the
dangerous contradiction. It's a person who goes out and contradicts everything he says. He bashes Muslims, and next day he goes out and says, this is tradition. He goes out there and bashes the Mexicans and marries a Mexican. And ladies and gentlemen, in all honesty, I think this meeting is not only poking fun at the election. It's also warm. It's telling us, ladies and gentlemen, that Donald Trump is going to create war, not keep the people, the Mexicans, from entering America, but to keep the people inside. And I'm going to tell you, if you're American, it's time to start saying, oh Canada, our native homeland. Because ladies and gentlemen, when people vote to make America great again, it's not going to be great for the rest of us. Thank you, and enjoy the fun.
Thank you. Now for the final speaker of the
Competition, I can invite Audrey Lee.
I was very lucky to have been able to come to this tournament with 3 of my closest friends, Dina, Ali, and Kira. So here's a shout out for them, right? But on Monday, when our trainer asked us who's going to join the public speaking competition, Dina and Ali said, I call dibs on no. So me and Kira were stuck in it. And my first thought was, how am I ever going to get to finals? I'm not funny, I can't tell jokes, I can't really do anything really, I can just talk a lot. So I pushed through all of the preliminary rounds. I talked about thinking, I talked about being a boy, I talked about my grandmother, Roshan probably knows this, but I also talked about many other things within those speeches. But the one thing I didn't talk about were these 3 people, right? And this morning, I was sitting in the cafeteria, or at least the lunchroom, trying to write a speech and coming up with a speech, and it's sitting in my notepad right behind the chair, at the chair behind Roshan, sitting at the adjudication bench, right? So the notebook's still there, and my speech is still inside. Now, when I came in here and I had to draw the lot to find out what position I was coming up here to make this speech, and I got the number 9, the last speaker, my first thought was, oh my God, I don't have to go first, you know? I can just sit there, calm down, be cool, go up, make my speech, and hell, I'm out. But then I sat down and I thought, oh no, I'm going 9th. Which means all of the jokes which I carefully crafted can't be used anymore because everyone else is using them. When they tell you how Trump doesn't put on his makeup well, or when they tell you how Hillary Clinton is sleeping half-side on her face, or when they're singing, na 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 Batman, I can't do all of those things because everyone has said that. So I was sitting there in the past 30 minutes thinking, what am I going to be talking about? And I thought, okay, last night when I saw this photo, my first thought was about this question that lingered in my mind, a question that a lot of people ask me. Which politician would you vote for if you were an American? First of all, I'm glad to say I'm not an American, so on the day of the election in November, I can be sitting in a mamak stall eating nasi lemak and drinking teh tarik. But secondly, the best of all, I don't have to make this decision of voting for 3 people, right? So let's look at the possibilities. First, there's the first female president of the United States, has gained like a lot of attention, right? Oh my God, it's the first woman. Oh my God, feminism. Oh my God, finally women can do things. When the truth is, that's incredibly false. Women can be strong and have been strong all this while. It's just that Hillary Clinton is now there. But then there's the first Jewish socialist president, right? Now, you can already see how the assumption is people like me, 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and teenagers, the younger voters of the future, will vote for Bernie Sanders because he's the most forward, even though recently he has just lost the race, which is incredibly sad, but he's still running. So let's push him aside, right? Then you have the first clown of the United States, right? You can even look at his face. And to be very honest, even though he has a lot of makeup on his face, I really do not think that that's enough. I think he should put more on his face, just saying. But furthermore,
I do not have to make this choice. Meaning to say, if there was a first female president, or a first Jewish president, or a first clown, I wouldn't have to make that choice. So if anything bad happens to America, it's not really my fault. I'm just a Malaysian who really wants to eat her char kway teow. But furthermore, that means that while I'm standing here, I also have to give an answer of, let's say these people weren't really that bad. Let's say they were really good. Let's say Donald Trump is not a clown and he's actually a really nice person who really wants to develop infrastructure. Because let's be real, the Great Wall of China is not enough. We need a Great Wall of Mexico. But even then, first of all, I think I am Chinese enough to say that we only need a Great Wall of China, we don't need a Great Wall of Mexico. But secondly, I think it's really unfair for them to just like push away Mexicans and push away people. Like Kira, she really wants to go to the United States to study, but when she found out Donald Trump is now the nominated like candidate for the Republican Party, she just said, nah, I'm not going to go to university. I don't need to go to America. So what exactly is my answer to that question, right? I'm only answering this question because I've thought of doing this for like years, and I really want to prove that I can sing better than Matti Tan, so Batman! Thank you.
Alright, so that marks the end of the grand finals. We will want to applause the speakers. We'll announce the results during the